What's up guys, it's finally manga time once again. It's been a long time since I last did a review. Not a lot's changed, I'm a little bit fatter than I was before. My room basically is exactly the same. Bleach has been over for quite a while now. We're actually coming up to a year on Bleach being over, which is absolute madness. I shot a video, the volume 62 review, a little while back, and I was like, oh, I'm coming back, and then I didn't make another video, which I am sorry about. I guess I kind of needed a little bit of time. I actually did just sort of just shut down on Bleach for the last 6 months or so. I just literally haven't had anything to do with it. Haven't done any drawing for it, anything like that. I guess sort of just kind of coming round to what happened to the end of the series and just sort of accepting it and moving on. I'm back on Bleach Brave Souls on the mobile now, which is rekindling the love. So I'm back here. What better way to start than to finally catch up with the volume reviews. We've got a lot to get through. Volume 70 just came out in the UK, and I actually had it arrive today, which also helped spur this on. Yeah, hope you guys have all been doing great. Let me know in a comment below how you're all getting on, and we're just going to kick this off because these volumes are old, so let's get them done. So this episode is going to be volume 63, Here, Fear, Here. One of Kubo's best titles, may I add. And it also features Asnot on the cover, which is incredibly cool. One of the coolest Sturmeta, and for a long time my favourite Sturmeta, actually getting his own cover is very exciting stuff. Now, if we look at the cover just briefly, Kubo, this is him doing his whole one-tone, super dark cover, which universally not been very popular. And I think it's I think it's pretty obvious why. I think it works really well for Asnot because he's a very sinister, scary character. So the darkness works well on him. But I really miss seeing a character in their proper colours, especially with the Quincy, who have never been animated. It's just a huge shame that we're not properly getting to see them. Asnot's cover's definitely not the worst offender. There are some covers, actually more so coming up. That look not bad from an artwork standpoint, but the one tone thing doesn't work. As far as I'm concerned, that's my personal take on it. It doesn't work for a lot of characters. It looks really bad. But yeah, the actual pose for Az is cool. He's looking creepy. His eyes are rolled back into his head. There's actually tears of blood, which is kind of creepy. Makes me wonder if it's actually blood in his Volstendig, but perhaps not. I don't know. But yeah, overall his cover is simple, but I think it's actually quite effective, and I like it. If we just crack this open, the poem, there is no difference between living and being allowed to live, just like there is no difference between dying and being killed. So that's kind of interesting. That's obviously alluding to Asnot's flashback, where he's clearly being kept alive on a life support system of some kind, or, at the very least, he's very seriously injured, and then Yhwach, brings him back. So maybe he sees himself as in a sort of permanent state of death or something like that. I don't know. It's interesting. Or at the very least, he was dying and he saw himself as dead, but then Yhwach gave him life, and that is, giving him. I don't know. It's a weird one, which I guess is fitting. Again, this is an old volume. They're old chapters. We're just going to blow through them for the most part. The All Stars, we've got actually no Ichigo, which is kind of rare. But we've got Kensei, Rose, Mask the Masculine, Asnot, Rukia, and Renji. Taking up the All-Stars pictures there. And there's a reason for that, and that's because this is quite literally a volume of two halves. The first half is Renji versus Master Masculine, and the second half is Rukia versus Az, and that's pretty much the whole volume in a nutshell. Now, a lot of people will say that this is where the arc started going downhill in a lot of people's estimations, and I am somewhat inclined to agree. The fights are not bad per se, but they are disappointing in a lot of ways. If we just quickly look at Renji it actually starts off with Vizard's Kensei and Rose going against Master Masculine. And I myself included, a lot of people would have liked these two to actually fight him more than Renji. You get to see Kensei's full Bankai, although actually I think he's already done it at this point. Yeah, so Kensei actually gets taken out in the first 5 pages. Whereas Rose actually activates his Bankai, which is very cool. Kinshara Butodan, which is basically a dance troupe that lets him use fire and water as an illusion. It's really cool and honestly super inventive, and it gets taken out in 3 pages. So thanks for that, Kubo. Also, we can get to Renji. You know, I'm not going to go into huge detail. We've done the chapter reviews. The Renji versus Mask fight is fine. It's quite trite in that you're supposed to believe that Renji's struggling about halfway through, but he's clearly not. And it's just kind of bull crap that honestly, Renji coming back from the royal realm and being able to take on a Sternritter who's wiped out, you know, what was it, 2 captains at this point, is kind of bollocks. But we're not here to get mad. We're not here to get mad. We're just judging the review, the volume with this review. So the Master Masculine fight happens, blah blah blah. Now halfway through the chapter, the volume, we actually get Yhwach. We get his flashback of the earliest days of his childhood, Tensa Zangetsu, and that's actually fascinating. There's actually a fascinating chapter where we finally learn how Yhwach works. We learn about his ability to steal power, to give it and take it back. So he gives hope and then steals it back, because when the people lose their power, they then die. So people essentially make a contract with Yhwach. And here we see Uryu. I was always pretty certain he was going to go and kill Yhwach at this point, because he knows Yuha's asleep, but then Hashwald obviously intercepts him. We get more of the past. We learn that Yhwach engraves letters on souls and stuff like that. And honestly, the middle chapter is incredibly randomly placed. Like, I feel like Kubo is like, crap, I really need to put some backstory in for Yhwach so that people actually understand what's going on in this war. Because obviously at this point we had no idea that Yhwach was stealing souls from people who died. So we get the Renji fight. Slapdash, here's Yuha's flashback, which Kubo admittedly nicely played into the whole moving on with the days thing. And then we move on to Rukia versus Az. Now this is a better fight than the Renji fight. Only because, in my opinion, Az is a far superior character to Master Masculine. And I prefer Rukia to Renji. But yeah, the Asnot fight is actually pretty cool, to be fair, and it's more even as well, because Rukia will just completely forget the absolute bullcrap of her making herself Sub-Zero. That, honestly, I think that is maybe the lowest chapter review I ever gave. I think it was a 5. That was back before I rated them out of 5. It was 5 out of 10. And I actually hated that chapter so much. But then Asnot comes back with his amazing looking Volstendig. I mean, you get artwork like this, which is incredible looking stuff. The design on that is incredible. And then obviously Byakuya comes back, you know, and basically I love this fight because I think the ending is actually very good. We get great development from Rukia in that she's able to defeat Az with her Bankai. And then it ends with Gwenael coming in. So I think overall the volume is good. It's definitely a volume of 2 halves. I would probably give it a 7.5 out of 10 if I was going to rate the volume like that. Like I said again, it's just going to be a fast review. So I am going to try and upload regularly. I'm not going to make a crazy schedule or anything, guys, but my camera is also about to run out of recording time. So please subscribe if you haven't and leave a comment. What do you think of this volume? But until next time, guys, I'll catch you later. See ya.